Jack Turner had always believed the open road was the great equalizer. On a motorcycle, it didn't matter if you were a CEO or a rookie, a millionaire or a kid, everyone felt the same wind. The same thrill, the same freedom. That's what drove him to build Iron Horse Motors from a single garage in Nevada into the most respected motorcycle dealership chain on the West Coast. But lately, something felt wrong. The brotherhood he'd worked so hard to create was slipping through his fingers. It started with a few bad reviews on biker forums, then a flood. If you don't look the part, they don't give you the time of day. Sales guys treat you like dirt if you're not rolling up on a $30,000 Harley. Felt like a poser just for asking about a used bike. Jack read every word, each one hitting harder than a punch to the gut. This wasn't the Iron Horse he knew. This wasn't the family he built. So, one brisk morning temperature of barely 62 degrees Fahrenheit, the LA air was still fresh before the city's heat set in. Jack made a decision. He left the tailored suit at home. Instead, he pulled on a faded Iron Horse tee, a battered leather jacket that had seen 1,000 miles, and jeans with a rip at the knee. He grabbed his old, scratched helmet and laced up boots that weighed heavy with memories. He didn't want anyone to see the CEO. He wanted them to see just another rider. Jack parked his weathered Harley 2 blocks from the flagship store. The bike was a little rough around the edges, there were dings on the tank, and a seat was patched with duct tape, but it ran like a dream. He walked the last few hundred feet, blending in with the morning crowd. The Iron Horse Motors sign glowed in the California sun, promising freedom, adventure, and belonging. Jack paused for a second, taking it in, then pushed open the door. The showroom was a shrine to chrome and horsepower. Rows of gleaming bikes weighing close to 800 pounds lined the polished concrete floor. Posters of legendary rides and cross-country rallies covered the walls. The air buzzed with the scent of motor oil and leather, the low thrum of classic rock, and the hum of conversation. But underneath, Jack sensed something of tension, a coolness, like the engine of a bike left idling too long. He wandered past a row of custom choppers, running his hand over the handlebars. That's when he heard it. "Hey, check out the new guy," Rick muttered to Tyler, both leaning against the parts counter. Rick's arms were covered in tattoos, his hair slicked back, a gold chain glinting at his neck. Tyler, younger and cockier, wore a brand new Iron Horse jacket and mirrored sunglasses indoors. "Probably here to ask about financing a scooter," Tyler snickered, not bothering to lower his voice. Jack kept his cool. He'd seen this act before, salesmen who thought they could size up a rider by the cut of his jacket or the shine on his boots. He drifted toward the used bikes, where a nervous-looking teenager in a hoodie was eyeing a 400-pound Yamaha. The kid looked lost, out of place among the leather-clad regulars. Rick sauntered over, giving the teen a once-over. "You sure you can handle that, kid? Maybe start with something lighter like a bicycle." He laughed, loud and sharp. The teen's face reddened. "I just wanted to know if it's still under warranty." Rick rolled his eyes. "Yeah, if you can afford it." He turned away, already bored. That's when Ashley stepped in. She was new, maybe mid-20s, with a spark in her eyes and grease under her nails. She wore the standard Iron Horse polo, but her smile was genuine. "Hey, don't mind Rick. He thinks he's funny. That Yamaha's a great starter bike. Want to sit on it? I can show you how it feels." The kid's whole posture changed. Ashley explained the specs, how the weight was balanced, and what to look for in a first ride. She even offered to let him take it for a test spin, something Jack hadn't seen a salesperson do in years. Jack watched, impressed. But Tyler wasn't. He pulled Ashley aside. "Don't waste your time with broke kids. Focus on the guys with money. That's how you get your commission." Ashley stood her ground. "Everyone deserves a shot. That's what Iron Horse is supposed to be about, right?" Tyler scoffed, but Jack caught a flicker of respect in his eyes. Jack moved on, listening and watching. He saw Rick and Tyler fawning over a group of bikers in full leathers, offering them coffee, talking up the latest $25,000 models, and inviting them to the exclusive Iron Horse rally that weekend. Meanwhile, anyone who didn't look the part got a cold shoulder or, worse, a snide comment, a dismissive shrug. He overheard Rick bragging in the break room about making bank of a guy who didn't know the difference between a carburetor and a crankshaft. Tyler showed off a group chat on his phone, showing screenshots of customers, cruel jokes, and even a meme calling one guy the king of cheap. But it wasn't all bad. Jack saw Ashley helping an older woman pick out a helmet, patiently explaining the difference between DOT and Snell ratings. He watched a mechanic named Luis quietly fix a flat for a delivery driver who couldn't pay until next week. There were glimmers of the old Iron Horse spirit: kindness, respect, the sense that everyone was welcome. Jack spent the afternoon talking with customers and asking about their experiences. Some raved about the bikes. Others, especially the ones in worn jeans or riding older models, shared stories of feeling invisible or worse, unwelcome. "It's like if you're not rolling up on a $20,000 Harley, you don't exist," one guy said, shaking his head. By closing time, Jack's heart was heavy. He'd seen enough to know the problem wasn't just a few bad apples. The culture had shifted. The brotherhood was broken. But he'd also seen hope in Ashley's smile, in Luis's quiet generosity, in the way a kid's eyes lit up when someone believed in him. Jack made a silent vow as he left the shop, the sun setting behind the city skyline. He was going to fix this, no matter what it took. And tomorrow, he'd be back. This time, he'd dig even deeper. Because Iron Horse Motors wasn't just a business. It was a family. And Jack Turner wasn't about to let anyone forget it. The next morning, Jack Turner rolled into the Iron Horse Motors parking lot just after 8 a.m., the sun already burning off the early haze and bouncing off the chrome-lined windows. The shop was waking up. But the tension inside was thick as oil. Jack could feel it the second he stepped through the glass doors, a subtle shift in energy, the way voices dropped and eyes flicked his way, sizing him up. Rick was already at the sales desk, tapping away at his phone, a half-eaten donut balanced on a stack of glossy brochures. Tyler leaned against a gleaming new Indian, arms crossed, chatting up a pair of regulars in leather vests. Ashley, the only one moving with purpose, was restocking helmets near the back wall, her ponytail swinging as she worked. Jack took his time, wandering the rows of bikes. He stopped to admire a 900-pound Road Glide, its paint job catching the light like a flame. As he bent down to check the exhaust, he overheard Rick and Tyler snickering. "Bet he's just here to drool," Tyler muttered, not bothering to lower his voice. Rick grinned. "Yeah, probably gonna ask for a test ride and then ghost. Watch this." Jack straightened up, meeting Rick's gaze with a calm, steady look. "Morning. I was wondering about the Road Glide. Does it come with ABS as standard?" Rick barely glanced at the bike. "Sure, but that's a lot of machines. You sure you can handle it?" His tone was half joke, half challenge. Jack shrugged. "Guess I'll find out." Tyler cut in. "We've got some used bikes in the back. Might be more your speed." Jack smiled politely, but inside, he felt a familiar frustration. He'd built Iron Horse Motors on the idea that every rider, no matter their experience or wallet size, deserved respect. This wasn't it. Before he could respond, the door jingled, and a young man stepped in. He couldn't have been more than 19, skinny as a rail, wearing a faded hoodie and jeans. He hovered by the used bikes, glancing nervously at the price tags. Rick rolled his eyes. "Here we go again," he whispered to Tyler. Ashley noticed the newcomer right away. She wiped her hands on her jeans and walked over, her voice warm. "Hey, looking for something in particular?" The kid hesitated. "I was hoping to check out the Shadow 750. My uncle said it's good for beginners." Ashley grinned. "Great choice. Want to sit on it?" I'll grab the key. As she fetched the key, Rick pulled out his phone and snapped a photo of the kid, sending it to the sales group chat with a caption. Another dreamer. Bet he asks for a discount. Tyler snickered, but Ashley ignored them, helping the customer onto the bike, explaining the controls, and answering every question like it was the most important conversation in the world. Jack watched the whole thing unfold, his respect for Ashley growing. She treated every customer like a future member of the family, no matter what they wore or how much cash they had. A few minutes later, a group of bikers thundered into the lot on custom Harleys, leather and chrome gleaming in the sunlight. Rick and Tyler practically sprinted to the door, falling over themselves to shake hands, offer coffee, and show off the latest models. The contrast was glaring. Jack drifted to the service area, where Luis, the head mechanic, was already elbow-deep in a 600-pound touring bike. The shop smelled of grease and gasoline, the air thick with the sound of ratchets and classic rock. Jack struck up a conversation. "Busy morning?" he asked. Luis grinned, wiping sweat from his brow. "Always. But it's the same story. If you're not on the VIP list, your bike sits. Rick and Tyler make sure of that." Jack frowned. "Doesn't seem fair." Luis shook his head. "It's not. Ashley tries to help everyone, but she gets grief for it. Last week, she stayed late to fix a flat for a delivery guy. Rick said she was wasting time." As Jack listened, a pattern emerged. The shop had split into two worlds. The real bikers, who got the red carpet treatment, and everyone else, who were barely tolerated. The brotherhood was fractured. Back on the sales floor, Ashley was wrapping up with the young customer, who beamed as he handed back the key. "Thanks for not laughing at me," he said quietly. Ashley smiled. "Everyone starts somewhere. Come back any time." Rick, meanwhile, was busy showing off a $28,000 custom to one of the Harley guys, talking up the exclusive Iron Horse rally. "Only the best get an invite," he bragged, shooting a smug glance at Jack. Jack wandered outside to clear his head, leaning against a row of bikes. He watched as Tyler and Rick huddled by the office, whispering and laughing. Ashley stepped out, catching Jack's eye. "You all right?" she asked. Jack nodded. "Just taking it all in. This place, it's not what I expected." Ashley sighed. "It used to be different. When I started, everyone helped everyone. Now, if you don't fit the look, you're invisible. I tried to start a biker for all event, but Rick shut it down. Said it wasn't on brand." Jack's jaw tightened. "That's not how it should be." Ashley smiled, hope flickering in her eyes. "Maybe it'll change. Maybe someone just needs to care enough." Inside, Rick and Tyler were already counting the day's commissions, splitting cash under the table, and joking about suckers who paid sticker prices. Jack made a mental note of the snide comments, the group chat, and the way Ashley lifted people up even when the culture tried to drag them down. As the day wore on, Jack saw more of the same. A father and son came in, the boy wide-eyed at the rows of bikes. Tyler barely glanced at them, pushing them toward the clearance section. Ashley again stepped in, showing the boy how to check tire pressure and explaining the difference between a 500-pound cruiser and a sports bike. By closing time, Jack's notebook was full. He'd seen enough to know the problem ran deep, but so did the hope. Ashley's kindness, Luis's honesty, and the excitement in a young rider's eyes were the sparks that could light a fire. Jack walked out as the sun dipped low, the city glowing orange and gold. He looked back at Iron Horse Motors, the neon sign flickering against the dusk. Tomorrow, he'd dig deeper. He'd talk to more staff, more customers. And soon, he'd be ready to pull off the mask to show everyone what real brotherhood looked like. Because this wasn't just about bikes or business. It was about respect. About family. And Jack Turner wasn't about to let anyone forget what Iron Horse Motors was truly meant to be. Absolutely, here's a longer, more immersive Part 3 for your story. Crafted to keep American viewers hooked and eager for the next episode, based on the Undercover Boss Exposes Motorcycle Shop's Wild Truth. You won't believe who gets fired. Outline. Jack Turner barely slept the night before. He replayed every moment from the shop in his mind, snide remarks, the way Rick and Tyler sized up customers by the price tag on their boots. The spark of hope in Ashley's eyes when she helped a new rider. By sunrise, Jack was already up, lacing his boots and ready to dig deeper. If Iron Horse Motors was going to change, he needed more than just a gut feeling, he needed proof and a plan. He arrived at the shop before 8 a.m., the California air already warming up to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The parking lot was mostly empty except for a battered pickup and Luis's old Yamaha. Jack slipped inside, blending in with the early morning quiet. He watched as Ashley prepped the sales floor, straightening helmets and wiping down chrome. She moved with purpose, humming along to the classic rock on the radio. Rick and Tyler rolled in 5 minutes late, laughing about a wild night at a biker bar on Sunset. They barely acknowledged Ashley as they passed, heading straight to the break room. Jack followed at a distance, pausing by the service bay where Luis was already elbow-deep in a 700-pound touring bike. "Morning, Luis," Jack said, keeping his voice casual. Luis grinned. "Hey, man. You here for a tune-up or just browsing?" Jack shrugged. "Just taking it all in. Looks like you're busy." Luis wiped his hands on a rag. "Always. But you know how it is, VIPs first. And everyone else waits. Rick and Tyler make sure of that." Jack nodded, making a mental note. "Ever get tired of it?" Luis hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah. I miss when this place felt like a real community. Now it's all about who you know, not what you ride." Back on the floor, Rick was already in full salesman mode, showing off a $30,000 Harley to a customer in a custom leather jacket. "This one's for real bikers," Rick boasted, running his hand along the chrome. "Not for posers or penny pinchers." Jack watched as another customer, a middle-aged woman in jeans and a faded tee, approached Tyler, asking about a used Honda. Tyler barely looked up from his phone. "We keep the cheap stuff in back. You can look, but don't touch unless you're serious." The woman's face fell, but before she could walk away, Ashley appeared. "Hey, I can help you with the Honda. It's a great bike, super reliable and easy to handle. Want to check it out?" The woman's whole demeanor changed. She smiled, following Ashley to the back. Jack felt a swell of pride and frustration. Why was it so hard for the others to treat every customer like they mattered? As the morning wore on, Jack started talking with more employees. He struck up a conversation with Mike, a junior mechanic. "How do you like working here?" Jack asked. Mike glanced around, lowering his voice. "Honestly? It's rough. Rick and Tyler run the show. If you're not in their circle, forget about getting good shifts or bonuses. Ashley tries to stand up for people, but she gets grief for it." Jack nodded, jotting down notes in his battered notebook. The pattern was clear: favoritism, exclusion, and a toxic culture that rewarded arrogance over kindness. Around noon, a young man in a hoodie and scuffed boots walked in, nervously clutching a printout from Craigslist. He approached the sales desk, where Rick was lounging with a coffee. "Excuse me, I saw you had a used Shadow 750 for sale?" Rick didn't bother to hide his smirk. "Yeah. But it's probably out of your price range, kid. You got a license?" The kid nodded, face flushing. "I've got my permit. I just want to look." Rick rolled his eyes. "Ashley, you want to waste your time with this one?" Ashley shot Rick a glare, then turned to the customer with a warm smile. "Come on, let's check it out. I'll show you how it handles." Jack watched as Ashley patiently explained the bike's features, even letting the customer sit on it and start the engine. The kid's face lit up, his nerves melting away. Meanwhile, Tyler was busy schmoozing a group of bikers in expensive gear, promising them VIP access to the next Iron Horse rally. Jack drifted closer, catching snippets of conversation. "Only the best get in," Tyler bragged. "We don't let just anyone ride with us." Jack's jaw tightened. That wasn't the Iron Horse way. Later that afternoon, Jack found Ashley in the break room, sipping a bottle of water. He sat across from her, lowering his voice. "You always this patient with customers." Ashley smiled. "Everyone deserves a shot. I was that kid once, nervous and broke. Just wanting someone to believe in me." Jack nodded, respect growing. "Ever feel like you're fighting a losing battle?" Ashley shrugged. "Some days. Rick and Tyler think I'm soft. But I know what this place could be. I just wish someone higher up would notice." Jack made a promise to himself right then that he would notice. He'd do more than that. Before closing, Jack overheard Rick and Tyler in the office, splitting commissions and laughing about suckers who paid full price. He snapped a photo of the whiteboard where the track sales numbers didn't add up. He scrolled through the staff group chat on a tablet left unlocked, seeing memes mocking customers, screenshots of lowball offers, and even a thread ridiculing Ashley for wasting time on losers. Jack's blood boiled. This was more than bad service, it was a betrayal of everything Iron Horse stood for. As the sun set, Jack stood outside, watching the last rays of light glint off the rows of bikes. He thought about the stories he'd heard, the kindness he'd seen in Ashley and Luis, the hope in the eyes of every new rider. He knew what he had to do. Tomorrow, he would come back not as a silent observer, but as the leader Iron Horse Motors needed. He'd confront the toxic culture head-on, expose the truth, and remind everyone what real brotherhood looked like. And as he walked to his Harley, the city lights flickering on, Jack felt a surge of determination. The real ride was just beginning. Nobody at Iron Horse Motors would see it coming. No one at Iron Horse Motors expected a Monday morning to start with the kind of tension that felt like thunder in the air. But as the clock struck 9:00 a.m., Jack Turner was already in the back office, heart pounding, ready to do what he'd never done before, pull off the mask and face his team not as just another biker but as the founder and CEO. The last few days had been a crash course in humility, heartbreak, and hope. Now, it was time for the truth. He called the staff meeting for 9:15 sharp. The sales floor was still waking up. Sunlight pouring through the front windows, making the chrome on the showroom bikes glow. Rick and Tyler swaggered in first, trading inside jokes and glancing at their phones. Ashley, a little nervous but standing tall, came in next, followed by Luis, with grease still on his hands, and Mike, the junior mechanic. Jasmine, the hostess, lingered near the door, curiosity in her eyes. Jack stood at the front, no longer in his battered leathers but in a crisp Iron Horse Motors jacket. He let the silence build, the anticipation thick as oil. Then he spoke, voice steady, eyes meeting each of theirs. "I want to thank you all for coming in early. Some of you know me as Jack. What you might not know is that I'm Jack Turner, the founder and CEO of Iron Horse Motors." He paused, letting the words sink in. Shock flickered across faces. Rick's jaw dropped, Tyler's smirk faded, and Ashley's eyes widened in disbelief. For the last week, I'd been here undercover. I wanted to see what Iron Horse really feels like for the people who matter most, customers and our team. And what I saw, it broke my heart. He turned to Rick and Tyler. I saw customers ignored, laughed at, and even mocked behind their backs. I saw people judged by their boots, not their passion for riding. That's not the Iron Horse I'd built. That's not the brotherhood we promised. Rick tried to recover, arms crossed defensively. We were just doing what works, Jack. You gotta focus on the big spenders. That's how you keep the lights on. Jack shook his head. You keep the lights on by building trust. By treating every rider like family. That's what built this place. And that's what we're bringing back. He turned to Ashley, his voice softening. Ashley, I watched you help a new rider find his first bike. I saw you were late fixing a delivery guy's flat. You treated every customer with respect, no matter what they wore or what they could afford. That's the spirit Iron Horse was founded on. And I want to thank you for reminding me what matters. Ashley's cheeks flushed, but she stood a little taller, pride shining in her eyes. Jack continued, "But I also found things that can't be ignored." He pulled out his phone, displaying screenshots from the staff group chat, memes mocking customers, jokes at Ashley's expense, and evidence of Rick and Tyler splitting commissions off the books. This isn't just unprofessional. It's toxic. It ends today. The room went silent. Tyler looked away, jaw clenched. Rick's face turned pale. Jack addressed the team, his words deliberate. "Rick, you're suspended effective immediately. We'll be reviewing your conduct and your future here. Tyler, you're being reassigned to the service department for retraining. If you want to stay, you'll have to earn back the trust of this team." He looked around the room. Luis, Mike, Jasmine, you've all gone above and beyond, even when it wasn't easy. From now on, every employee gets a voice. Every customer gets respect. Starting next month, we're launching a biker for all, an open house for every kind of rider. No more VIP lists, no more gatekeeping. He paused, letting the message land. We're also making commissions transparent and fair. No more backroom deals. And Ashley, I want you to help lead our next customer service training. You've shown what real leadership looks like. Luis grinned, clapping Ashley on the back. Jasmine wiped away a tear, relief and hope mingling on her face. Even Mike, usually quiet, broke into a smile. But Jack wasn't finished. He turned to the entire team. Iron Horse Motors is more than a business. It's a family. And families look out for each other. We lift each other up. We don't tear each other down. He invited everyone to speak their minds. Luis shared how he'd felt pressured to put VIPs first, even when it meant letting regular customers wait for days. Jasmine talked about the pain of seeing people turned away for not looking the part. Mike admitted he'd almost quit after being bullied by Rick and Tyler. Ashley spoke last, voice trembling but strong. "I love this place. I believe in what it could be. I just want everyone to feel welcome, the way I did when I bought my first bike here." Jack nodded, pride swelling in his chest. "That's what we're fighting for." The meeting ended with something Iron Horse hadn't seen in a long time: laughter, honest conversation, and the sense that things could really change. As the team drifted back to their stations, Jack caught Ashley by the coffee machine. "Thank you," he said quietly. "You reminded me why I started all this." Ashley grinned. "Glad you noticed. Now let's get back to making this place awesome." The rest of the day felt different. Customers who'd once been ignored were greeted with a smile. Luis took the time to explain repairs to a new rider. Mike offered to help a customer pick out gloves. And Jasmine handed out flyers for the upcoming Biker for All event. Even Tyler, humbled and quiet, worked alongside the mechanics, learning what it meant to be part of a real team. As the sun set over the city, Jack stood at the front window, watching the neon sign flicker to life. For the first time in months, he felt hope not just for Iron Horse Motors but for every rider who'd ever felt left out, and every employee who'd ever felt unheard. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. But with people like Ashley, Luis, Jasmine, and Mike by his side, he was ready for the ride. And somewhere, deep in his bones, Jack Turner knew the Brotherhood was back. And this time, it was here to stay. The first rays of sunlight crept over the city as Jack Turner pulled up to Iron Horse Motors, his heart pounding with anticipation. Today wasn't just another day at the shop. Today was the day everything would change. The Biker for All open house banners fluttered out front, bold against the morning sky. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the weight of 100 miles and 1,000 memories settle on his shoulders. He'd spent the last week undercover, watching his dream nearly unravel. Now, it was time to put it all on the line. By 9 a.m., the shop was buzzing. Riders of every stripe, old-timers on battered Hondas, young women in denim and leather. Grizzled veterans with weathered vests filled the lot. For the first time in years, the place felt alive, like the brotherhood Jack had always imagined. Ashley was at the front, greeting everyone with a grin, her confidence shining. Luis and Mike worked the service bay, high-fiving kids, and explained the difference between a 500-pound cruiser and a 700-pound touring bike. Jasmine handed out raffle tickets, her laughter ringing out over the rumble of engines. But inside, a storm was brewing. Rick, recently suspended, had shown up. Anger simmering just beneath the surface. Tyler, humbled by his reassignment, kept his head down, working alongside Luis. The tension was thick as oil, but Jack knew it was time to face it head-on. He called everyone together, staff, customers, even a few curious onlookers. The sales floor, usually echoing with the sound of deals and bravado, fell silent. Jack stood at the center, his voice steady but full of emotion. "I started Iron Horse Motors because I believed in something bigger than bikes," he began. "I believed in brotherhood, in respect, in second chances. But somewhere along the way, we lost that. We let ego and greed take over. We forgot that every rider, no matter what they wear, what they ride, or how much they spend, deserves a place here." He looked at Ashley, at Luis, at Mike and Jasmine. But I also saw hope. I saw people who stood up for what's right, even when it wasn't easy. I saw kindness, patience, and a willingness to help anyone who walked through our doors. That's the Iron Horse I want to see. Jack turned to Rick, his gaze unwavering. "Rick, you let your pride get in the way of what matters. You mocked customers, bullied staff, and put your own interests above the team. That's not who we are. Today, I have to let you go." A hush fell. Rick's bravado crumbled, replaced by a stunned silence. Tyler looked away, shame etched across his face. Jack continued, "But this isn't just about one person. It's about all of us. It's about choosing every day to be better, to lift each other up, to welcome every rider like family." He turned to Ashley, his voice warm. "Ashley, you reminded me what Iron Horse can be. You're not just a great salesperson, you're a leader. From today, you'll help train every new hire, making sure our values come first." Applause broke out, genuine and loud. Ashley's eyes shone with pride. Luis clapped her on the back. And even Mike grinned from ear to ear. As the day unfolded, the transformation was undeniable. Customers who'd once been ignored were now greeted with open arms. Kids sat on bikes for the first time, their faces lit with wonder. Old friends reunited, swapping stories about cross-country rides and near-misses on winding mountain roads. The Biker for All event was a hit: raffles, free tune-ups, and a wall where riders could pin their favorite road trip photos. Laughter and music filled the air, and for the first time in a long time, Iron Horse Motors felt like home. Late that afternoon, as the sun dipped low and the last raffle prize was handed out, Jack stood by the front window, watching the neon sign flicker to life. Ashley joined him, a cup of coffee in hand. "You did it," she said softly. Jack shook his head. "We did it. All of us." She smiled. "Think it'll last?" Jack looked out at the parking lot, now filled with bikes of every shape and size. "It will. As long as we remember what matters. As long as we keep fighting for each other." The two stood in comfortable silence, watching as families loaded up, friends hugged goodbye, and the last rays of sunlight painted the city gold. Inside, Tyler approached Jack, his voice tentative. "I messed up. I see that now. I want to do better. If you'll let me. I'd like to earn my place back." Jack nodded. "Everyone deserves a second chance. But you'll have to prove it every day." Tyler nodded, determination in his eyes. As the shop emptied out, Jack gathered the team one last time. Iron Horse Motors is more than a business. It's a family. And every family has its ups and downs. What matters is that we stick together, learn from our mistakes, and never stop trying to do better. He paused, looking at each face: Ashley's pride, Louise's quiet strength, Jasmine's warmth, Mike's newfound confidence, Tyler's humility, and even the bittersweet absence of Rick. Let's make sure that anyone who walks through those doors feels like they belong. That's the real ride. The team cheered, and Jack felt a deep sense of peace settle in his chest. The Brotherhood was back. The dream was alive. If this story moved you, or if you've ever witnessed a moment of kindness or courage in your own community, share your story in the comments below. Have you ever seen someone stand up for what's right, even when it wasn't easy? What does brotherhood, or family, mean to you? Like, subscribe, and join our community, because every voice matters, and together we can keep the spirit of Iron Horse Motors alive on every road across America.